Hi guys, I'm Tyler and you're watching the All You Need to Know Bass Show here on my channel. Today I'm giving you an overview of the specs, a quick look at all of the controls, and then a tone demo of the Yamaha BEX4, all in this one video. So stay tuned and you'll find out everything you need to know about the Yamaha BEX4. This is the Yamaha BEX4. This is a bass built by Yamaha in the late 90s and early 2000s. It's no longer in production, but I think it's a bit of a sleeper bass. And I'm going to run you through all the main specs, all the features, so you know everything you need to know about this bass. If you're, say, considering purchasing one or on the lookout for one, you're going to have a great idea of what one of these basses could do for you in your arsenal by the end of this video. If you're new around here, consider subscribing. I do lots of these kind of videos, lots of gear demos, lots of tone demos, tips and tricks, and pretty much anything bass related. This is the place to be if you want bass content on YouTube. So I'm going to run you through the specs of this bass. Let's start at the body and work our way up. So the bass is made of alder and the back of the body with a flame maple veneer across the top here. The fingerboard is made of rosewood and the neck is a maple neck. Down here the bridge is made of what looks to be ebony. I'm not 100% sure. The specs are very difficult to find online, but I believe this is an ebony bridge from the look of it, with a piece of bone underneath it there. Two ebony knobs here, that's volume, and then a blend knob between the front pickup here and the piezo pickup, which is in the back of the bass here. The tuners are what look to be just a Yamaha branded tuner with a fluted wrap, which allows the strings to wrap a little more easily. And I think it's also a bone nut here, but I'm not 100% sure. On the back of the bass, it's a 4-bolt neck construction with a battery cavity here. On the side of the bass, you have a 3-band EQ, which is low, mid and high, and then there's a battery indicator on the side of it too, to let you know when your bass is running out of battery. As these F-holes denote, this bass is a semi-hollow bass, so it has a center block running through the middle, and then these two sides have been hollowed out, which gives you a unique sound, much like an Epiphone Jack Cassidy or any of the classic semi-hollow style basses. It features Yamaha's own brand pickup in the front here, and then a piezo pickup built into the bridge here. One thing I always like to talk about in these videos is neck shape, because that's something that you can't always quantify from specs online. This feels somewhere to me between a Precision and a Jazz. It's not as thick as a Precision, but it's also not as slim as a Jazz. I feel like it's a bit more of a D-shape style neck than a C-shape, with the sides coming down a little bit and then rounding, flattening out right across the back. It's quite a nice neck. It's not too difficult to get yourself around, but it doesn't really thicken out at all. It kind of stays very much the same profile. Added a little bit of thickness as it comes up here, but very little. Nothing like a vintage style Fender bass. This bass has a 34-inch scale length, which is more of a modern feature set. A lot of the old school semi-hollow body basses have a 30-inch scale. So this gives it a slightly more modern quality, but then it also has the EQ, which allows you to get those more vintagey style tones back out of the bass. The back of the neck has a more satin style finish. It's not particularly glossy, which makes it quite nice and smooth to play, nothing sticky, and quite easy to get around. So now I've run you through the specs, let's get to the controls, and I'll just show you the difference between these different settings that you can get from the bass. So this is the bass set flat with the blend right in the middle of the two pickups. So you're going to get 50% of the piezo sound and 50% of the front pickup. So this is how it sounds, just like that, with the EQ set flat. Now I'm going to show you the electromagnetic front pickup on its own. And then the piezo pickup on its own. So what you might have noticed there is that the piezo pickup has a lot more high frequency content and more clarity. That's because the pickup is picking up the vibrations from the body. It's the actual acoustic vibrations of the instrument, much like the pickups you find on acoustic guitars. What that offers you is the potential to have quite a warm sound with a little bit more clarity blended in, from the piezo pickup, or just the warmer sound of the front pickup on its own. But I think it can be quite a versatile setup, and I'll run you through all the settings for those in the full tone demo a little bit later. Now I'm going to run you through the EQ sliders on this bass. Each of these has a 12 decibel of boost and cut. So let's start with the low EQ. Now to the mid EQ. And now to the high EQ. I think the fact that it's only a 12 decibel boost and cut makes it quite usable. It's really for a more minute sculpting of the tone. It's not going to change your tone entirely, but the low EQ is going to fatten it up a bit. The mid EQ sounded much more like a low mid type EQ, so that added quite a lot of punch through, but in more the bottom end. And then the high seemed to really accentuate the brightness and the clarity, but not in a particularly clanky way. I think it would be really useful to take off the very top end of the piezo and perhaps warm that up a little bit. So I'll give that a go later in the full tone demo. So that was an overview of the specs and the tone control. I want you to let me know in the comments below what you think of the feature set of this EQ. Would it be versatile enough for you, or do you think you would want a little bit more versatility from the options that it gives you? In this last section of the video, I'm just going to run you through a load of different EQ options and put them back to back to give you an idea of how this bass sounds with different settings. I'm going to play some fingerstyle, some pick style and some slap style, and use what I would think would be the most useful and most regularly used EQ settings for those different styles. I hope this video has been useful to you. If it has, please smash the like button, consider hitting that subscribe button, and then hit that notifications bell to get the latest of my videos. I upload a video like this every single week along with a wide range of other videos. So if you've enjoyed this video, you're probably going to enjoy more of my content, so consider hitting that subscribe button. So after the tone demo, I thought I'd just give you my verdict and my suggestions as to who this bass would be great for. It's got its own thing going on totally compared to a lot of the semi-hollow body basses out there. The fact that it's got the electronics and the piezo and the traditional magnetic pickup at the front make it a really versatile option, but give it some sounds that you would just not really expect to be getting from a semi-hollow bass. The piezo pickup for me, as soon as you add the EQ of the high end, just becomes pretty much unusable. It's just too gritty, but if you use that high EQ on the front pickup, I think it can have a really nice effect, particularly if there's any of those scoop mid settings. I think it sounds quite nice. I think the high EQ is really useful at taming the grittiness of the piezo. And I think that the EQ is kind of set there exactly to do that, so if that piezo is cutting and got too much clarity, it'll suck it back for you. I think the piezo can sound really massive if you add quite a lot of low end and those low mids, and I think from the tone demo it's quite obvious that the low and mid EQ on any of the pickup combinations, whether that's with them together, the front pickup on its own or the piezo on its own, adds a real thickness. And I think that the mid EQ and the low EQ are very much working together and they kind of cross over, which gives you a massive push in the bottom end. I think that allows you to get quite old school vintagey tones from this bass whilst also giving it a whole host of modern tones. So if you're a player that wants a semi-hollow body bass aesthetically and for the lightweight, but that can do it all, I think this bass is a really good option and something you should be looking out for used. They come up for really reasonable prices, and I think you can hear from the range of tones you can get from that this bass can be used in an absolute ton of situations. Whether you're a rock style pick player or a traditional fingerstyle player wanting an old school tone, I think you can get both of those from the same bass. And even slap style is perfectly doable and has some cool sounds with this bass. Obviously it's not got the two neck and bridge style pickups that you would want for a traditional slap style sound, aka the jazz bass sound, but I really like a P-bass slap sound, and this goes a long way doing that with the added clarity of the piezo if you tame the highs a little bit. So unlike most slap sounds, you don't have to boost the lows and boost the highs to get that scoop EQ. I think just a little bit of taming of the highs actually to take the piezo edge off can get you some really nice sounds. So those are my thoughts on the Yamaha BEX4, the tone demo, the specs, and a look through all the EQ. I hope this video has been useful to you. If it has, smash that like button and maybe consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell to get the latest of my videos. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this bass and what was your favourite setting out of the tones I demoed in the tone demo. Thank you so much for watching the All You Need to Know Bass Show, and I'll see you around soon.